Ever heard of General George S. Patton? It's the legendary tough-as-nails American general from World War II. He was famous for one thing above all else: speed. His Third Army's lightning-fast advance across France in 1944 is still studied in military academies today. It was a masterpiece of armored warfare that completely shattered German defenses. But here's the twist. Patton's incredible success wasn't just scaring the Germans. It was giving his own bosses, the Allied High Command, major headaches. Why on earth would your most successful general's victory tour terrify you? It all comes down to a simple, brutal reality of war. Logistics. An army, as they say, marches on its stomach. But in the 20th century, it really drove on fuel. Patton's tanks and trucks were guzzling gasoline at an astonishing rate. We're talking hundreds of thousands of gallons every single day. As his forces pushed deeper and deeper into France, their supply lines stretched longer and longer. Every mile he advanced was another mile that fuel, food, and ammunition had to travel from the Normandy beaches. This created a logistical nightmare. The Allied forces had landed at Normandy, and the ports were still heavily damaged. Everything had to be brought ashore and then trucked hundreds of miles to the front. The system just couldn't keep up with Patton's relentless pace. He was moving so fast, he was literally outrunning his own supplies. Allied Supreme Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower and his top strategist, General Omar Bradley, were looking at the bigger picture. They had multiple armies to supply, not just Patton's. There was a finite amount of fuel to go around. So, while Patton was chomping at the bit, ready to charge all the way to Berlin, his superiors saw a disaster waiting to happen. They pictured the mighty Third Army grinding to a halt, out of gas, deep in enemy territory. A sitting duck, vulnerable to a German counterattack that could encircle and destroy them. This wasn't just a theoretical risk. It was a very real possibility. Patton, a brilliant tactician, was focused on the battle right in front of him. Eisenhower, the Supreme Commander, had to think about the entire war in Europe. He had to balance Patton's aggression with the needs of other fronts and the very real limits of their supply chain. This led to one of the most controversial decisions of the war. The Allies decided to prioritize supplies for British Field Marshal Montgomery's push in the north, an operation known as Market Garden. Patton was furious. He was ordered to halt his advance, and his fuel allocation was cut drastically. He famously complained that he was being held back, that he could have ended the war months earlier if they'd just let him keep going. Was he right? It's one of history's great what-ifs. Some historians believe Patton's audacity could have indeed broken the back of the German army in 1944. Others argue that Eisenhower made the prudent choice, preventing a potential catastrophe that could have set the entire Allied effort back. What's undeniable is that Patton's speed, his greatest asset, created a strategic paradox. His very success threatened to overextend the Allied forces and hand the Germans a golden opportunity. It's a fascinating lesson in warfare, showing that sometimes moving too fast can be just as dangerous as moving too slow. So the next time you hear about Patton's famous charge across France, remember the story behind the headlines. The story of nervous commanders, stretched supply lines, and the difficult choice between bold action and cautious strategy. It proves that in war, victory is about much more than just winning battles. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into history, be sure to like and subscribe for more.